Rinpoche, thank you so much for coming to Israel. Can you explain a little bit about your relationship with the Dalai Lama? Do you see him as your teacher, or does he see you as your teacher? I mean, who's the teacher of who?
Teacher 간다. 아닌가? 이게 꼭 겹지.
So when looking at the history of Ling Rinpoche is the seventh incarnation of Ling Rinpoche. So Ling Rinpoche was the teacher of the previous Dalai Lama had two teachers, which was the senior teacher. Ling Rinpoche was the senior teacher of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And so this is the present Dalai Lama. So the first Ling Rinpoche was the teacher of the sixth Dalai Lama, which was called Gyatso. And Ling Rinpoche the fourth was the teacher of the Dalai Lama the 11th, and Ling Rinpoche the 5th was the teacher of Dalai Lama, the 13th Dalai Lama. And the 6th Dalai Lama, one which is the senior. This is there is another detail which the Dalai Lama told about Ling Rinpoche. Tradition, the one who holds the throne, the Ganden Chipa, was called Kunchup Chopa, and he was the teacher of the the 5th Dalai Lama. So he actually was the first Ling Rinpoche. So His Eminence saying it's in history, it's not I'm claiming that it's the truth. So I myself, personally, I received many teachings. Once I was recognized with a lot of care and love from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I am absolutely not His Holiness's teacher. I am just a reincarnation of His Holiness's teacher.
Thank you, Rinpoche. I will go back to the text. Okay. So the first verse, the first stage is correctly relying on the teacher, and I always have this question: how can it be the first stage? How can you choose a teacher if you don't know anything about the Dharma? How can you? Does it really mean that it's supposed to be the very first thing that you do when you study? Don't you need to learn first about, I don't know, the Four Noble Truths, about suffering, about other things, before you choose a teacher? Even from what you were teaching before about how to choose a teacher, it seems that you need to know quite a lot of things about the Dharma before choosing your teacher. But in the Lamarim, it seems the first thing you do is choosing a teacher and correctly relying on the teacher. Can you explain that?
가서래 관시하는시 오늘 주 고도로 때서 매비나 안에 신이 제세 갖고 싶은 차도 제산티 인도자는 다디 남리나 고볼 샤브로 왔다 고볼 샤브를 마도 지기 아니 신이 된줄티 아니 가서래 당원의 신이 된 거를 근데 자원이 순요 말에 이 지난 신이 된줄 고볼 샤 땜지 야구 용했다 그봐 이제 용해 지금 고볼의 샤브를 마도 지기 신이 된줄티 당원의 신이 된줄 제가 어때네 아니 미다도는 동담에 저거 근데 자원이 내려면
So, like Boss said, it is very difficult to know the Dharma without relying properly on a teacher. But it is true that first we need to have some knowledge before we rely on a teacher. So, His Eminence first agrees with you. So, in the Lam Rim, this subject is first. It is not because it's the first thing that we need to do to rely on a teacher, but it is there for auspiciousness. That the reason why the first relates to relying on a teacher is kind of for auspiciousness.
Texas based on quote notal moeda ala moeda comes
나 예마셰 오베제 시존스 마도 워와
no
베제 시존스 좀 마다 녀레 신예 그 최고레스 됐어요.
אז בעצם אנחנו מסתכלים בו פה בטקסט
We're looking at a text that has got the stages of enlightenment, and His Eminence wants to teach the text according to the way it's presented, and that's why he goes through verse by verse according to the order. But it doesn't mean that the first thing that we need to do is to rely on a teacher and then do all the rest.
차상 지기다도 가서 어떻게 요즘에 무슨 차상 시에 아니 그 오늘 산지기다 지금 고속도로 연대는 상으로 계속 뉴스 연대 상으로 바꿔두다 근데 그게 산지기다 연대 상으로 또 도로 와 뒤또는 되는 신예 된 줄이 갖고 도도 쓰는 신예 된 주고 주고를 샤나 야가도 이제 손에 요것도
There are some people who say that first we need to develop the knowledge of the Lam Rim, of the gradual stages of enlightenment. And if we develop this knowledge, then we can develop the qualities of the body, speech and mind of the teacher, which is love, wisdom, and the ability of the Buddha. And only after we have this knowledge, then only can we rely properly on the spiritual teacher. Actually, when we teach the proper way of relying on the teacher, it is actually most necessary for Tantra, for the secret mantra, for when we get an initiation from the teacher, from the spiritual teacher, it is crucial to rely properly on the spiritual teacher. But here in the Lam Rim, it doesn't mean that first we need to rely on His Eminence, for example, as our spiritual teacher. Could Rinpoche please explain the mind of enlightenment or bodhicitta?
지단 남제 되는 걸로 좀 많이 되지 자주 있었습니다. 아니 남제 되는 대양 남편 세야지 아니 되게 넘버 탐지 팀을 보만도 근데 소소 동네를 타려야 소소 되게 지키고 대화 지키게 기고 이제 지고자 많이 배 되게 토요일 되니 용세에 가면서는 가게 무슨 제 탐지게 된다. 가게 무슨 제 탐지에 되는 그게 고지다 내려는 손을 동에 솔라메가 녀다 녀시가 녀와 교와 이제 이제 탑도 이제 탑도 이제 지요기 나랑 이제 시에를 통. 다 데레 마수를 거기지. 데레 다 타버지 최고. 대다 타버 태양 랑게 최고. 다 랑을 타다 가도도 이제 뭐 내지. 간에 최고지. 그시 유대잖아. 시행이 그게 로고 제가 파셔 소소 알리냐는 게 로단데다 매우 잘 되죠. 하게 무슨 이제 탐지하기 전에 아니 그 뭐요 라면서 진이죠. 토토로 쇼스랑 그 이제 그런 전에 아니 남제 되는 사람 중앙에는 나 전주 있는 세트. 되지 그런 있어요. 나 전주 있으면 깨봤던 거 줘봐. 아니 줘봐 양내라고. 되게 삼바치다. 나 지금 가서 쇼스 양내 개토가 잠시다 알리 그지 용 톱스를 잡아다. 좀 많이 받아 가시대로 좀 순지시다. 대자 많이 받아 이 제조 가진 양내 봐. 라치는 봐. 어떻게 가오시오다.
So the mind of enlightenment, bodhicitta, is the mind which aspires to achieve omniscience. So we aspire to this state of complete enlightenment, of omniscience, which is the state of Buddhahood. We want ourselves to attain this state. So speaking about bodhicitta in a specific way, then we understand that the mind of enlightenment is trying without effort to be omniscient. The mind of enlightenment can be with effort and also effortless. So with effort is something which we try time and again to arise in our mind. So the mind of enlightenment, with the one which we really aspire to develop, is that which is effortless, which arises naturally, spontaneously, to achieve omniscience. So this aspiration is meant to be not only for ourselves, not only for our own benefit, but that of, in order to get rid of the suffering of ourselves and of all sentient beings. We shouldn't just be thinking of our own happiness and well-being. We should recognize the fact that all sentient beings who, as vast as space, they all experience different kinds of suffering, and we need to see their suffering as though it's something which we ourselves cannot bear at all, and therefore we develop compassion towards them, the wish to do something in order to liberate them from their suffering. And then we think of our current ability, and we see that with our current ability we can't even help ourselves, we can't even reduce the suffering of ourselves. So how can we help all sentient beings who are as vast as space? So, understanding this situation, that is when we wish to aspire, we wish to attain the state of Buddhahood, the state of Buddhahood which can actually benefit all sentient beings. And then we swiftly try to attain enlightenment, to eliminate the suffering of ourselves and everyone. The development of this mind of enlightenment is not enough, it is insufficient. We also want to do activities which have the 6 perfections, like generosity, morality, patience, etc. So our current state of mind, with our current state of mind, we can still not benefit others because our bodhicitta does not arise spontaneously. So at the moment of bodhicitta has got still a lot of effort in order to arise. So then, once our bodhicitta arises spontaneously, we will also need to do all the vast activities of the Buddhas. So it means we have a lot of work ahead. It's not easy at all. So there are two methods for arising bodhicitta, and that is the seven cause and effect, and the second one is exchanging self and other. So the seven cause and effect method is for people who are of lesser intelligence, while exchanging self and other is for people who have greater intelligence.
יש לנו את שני הטכניקות האלה, שני התרגולים האלה, והם עובדים בצורה מסוימת עבור אלה שיש להם יכולות שונות. התרגול הראשון, התהליך של שבעת השלבים, ששת הגורמים, והתוצאה של תודעת ההערה, היא טכניקה שעובדת עבור אלה שיש להם יכולות שהן פחותות יותר. והתרגול השני, ההשוואה וההתמרה של עצמי בזולת, היא טכניקה שמיועדת עבור אלה שיש להם יכולות חטאות.
Any more questions?
Thank you very much. My question is, when is it appropriate to think that you have completed one of the stages or levels of the cycle and that you're ready to go on to the next one, if at all?
So when are you certain that you have completed a level along the stages of the path to enlightenment, or in terms of the qualifications, the qualities that you need to have as a student?
The first one.
All right. So the question is, when can you be sure or certain that you have completed a certain stage among the stages on the path to enlightenment, so that you can move on from that stage to the next?
단지 이제 막 와서 오래 기부 충분해야지 아니 기부 생디간기 아니 지금 이게 되면 내가 쏘다 들려야 그게 샤발로 지대 심각해지려야 아니 지금 모두 하다미 고마 저거도 스난데 chuy년에 지는 기부 충분치 나는 신이 되는 다 세침말이 양모도 미 하다미 고마 저거 삼지장 아니 고의 동네에 다 좋은 것이 고의 동네에 타고 치시는 것이 진짜 이 인터넷에 아니 타베 보면 타바 되는 거 좀 많이 있으면 거네 아니 가시니까 중앙이나 아니 이거 진짜 나타 호알에 타워서 많이 주고 호알에 타워서 주고 근데 가게 무슨 지 탐색이 된 거 아니 요원이 뭐지 내게 마음에 조심 고가 좀 이거 참았어 내려봐 그래서 이 인터넷에 당고 알리 기부 충분히 거죠. 이게 기부 되는 거죠. 이게 기부 되는 거죠. 도스 좋은 거죠. 나 기부 충분히 되는 this pose, this word, which word did what 나 기부 충분히 되는 것에 다 기부 충분 삼바티 기부 좀 많이 버치게네. 딱 근데 기부 충분히 가져갈래 겸네요. 제치마 그제리야. 오늘 하다 미 고만서 우리 지금 이제 단도베 니모 가지고 동네 타다를 타고 스나드 삼바시 이 점은 많이 뭔가 슉슉 게트에 담네 이제 고쳐
When we practice the stages which are common for the small scope being, then we work on diminishing the attraction to the objects of the senses, of smell, taste, touch, etc. So we don't yearn for these, the objects of the senses. When we reduce this attachment, then our main aim is to have a higher rebirth for the future life, as a human being or in the higher realms. So in this way, we're developing the stages which are common to the small scope beings. The stages which are common to the middling scope of being are mean the relate to the middling scope being has got an uncontrived mind which aspires to liberation, that understands that even if in our future lives we will get a higher rebirth as a human being or as a god, we will still be influenced by the afflictions, and we will have suffering in the realms of existence. So therefore we develop a wish, the aspiration to be free from suffering, from the cycles of existence, and then we aspire for liberation. So these are the middling capacity being stages, and when we develop the stages which are common to the great capacity being, then we aspire for enlightenment quickly for all sentient beings who experience suffering which we cannot bear. And all these beings exist wherever space abides. So therefore we wish to attain enlightenment, omniscience as quickly as possible. So this is in general what we do when we practice on the stages of the three scope beings. So then to answer your question specifically, how will I know when I go from one stage to the other? From the small scope, let's say, to the middling scope? We can look at our own mind and see that when we, without any effort, in an uncontrived way, we aspire just to be reborn in higher realms, and we are not attracted to the objects of this world, then we know that we are in the level of the middling capacity beings. So when we continue and develop the mind which aspires for liberation, so when we aspire for liberation, then we know that we are middling capacity being. I didn't understand this answer in a specific place. Rinpoche described these three minds not as one person, but rather as a development in the practice of one specific person. So I thought that I want to develop the mind which wants to help all sentient beings and to attain enlightenment. So I can understand that since this takes a long time, I need a good life that will allow me to keep practicing. But somehow I find this mind that is common.
이 충분히 지금 장사가 지는 저기요. 근데 전 하다디 전주 남기 준비 대량의 진행죠 봐. 이 기후 충분히 장사가 지는 저기요. 딱 기후 충분히 투모를 남기고 봤어. 이 지금도 투모를 남기고. 빅테스트 추추 삼당고. 레디 아주 남이 년년치에 많은 주비 대고 지금 슈를 가자 이용해도 뭐 시작하면 지리네. 순간을 삼당고 봐. 좀 만약에 기후 충분히 찍고 보면서 방금 몸도 있고 기후 충분으로 잘못 가도 기후 충분에 딱 기후 제일 맞아요. 기후 충분에 가만 때문에 그게 내가 좀 찍고 와라. 마도지기 뭐라는 사무실은 기후 충분과 삼 가지고 기후 충분 삼밖에 얘네 둘이 가도 믿게 신의 안에 기본적인 삼당으로 디제 점씩 거르고 있어요. 디제도 아닌 거 됐어. 얘 다가라는 거 나눠줬어. 엄청 오기가 됐어.
When we look at the gradual stages to enlightenment, we can say that there is a person who is only a being of small capacity, like a genuine small scope practitioner. And medium scope beings can also be only such or a genuine one. But from our perspective, that have an interest in the Mahayana, who aspire for enlightenment for the benefit of all others, we know that in order to generate bodhicitta and to practice all the things that are necessary, we also need to practice the gradual, the common stages to the small and the middling capacity beings. While the emphasis is that these are the common practices for the small and the middling. It's not only for them. So there's some practitioners who are of genuine small and middling scopes, but actually we will not use these words for the great capacity beings. What we aim for is to generate bodhicitta and to go gradually until we attain enlightenment. So we need a technique of meditation, which is a glance meditation, which is in a short way we contemplate about the stages of enlightenment which are common to the different scope of beings. It is not that we practice one of these at just one time, but rather we go through all the stages of meditation within one practice. So these initial stages are necessary to achieve to the final point of the great capacity being. It could be that we have, how do you say, the imprints from previous lives for each of the particular scope of beings. If we have these particular imprints, then we can go straight to each one of the scopes and to go deeper into the great scope beings.
Dagi chini sabe yawa de tendang zhowa kula jeba juzhen lo san chakwa yi tenpe nyingbo rindu se ji shu.